I want to talk about the Bills. Can the Bills make a deep playoff run without a solid run game? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
The main topic is how important is a good running game in the NFL today? Is a good run blocking offensive line necessary to make a deep playoff run? So three things. Can the Bills make a deep playoff run? Is it better to have a franchise running back or a running back by committee like the Niners or the Patriots or the Colts? And then the Colts' massive success with that franchise running back in Jonathan Taylor. So
yeah, I
so
want
what do
to
you think?
I want to touch on the Bills. I want to touch on why this team has been struggling recently, and I think it comes down to running back and surge. Another thing we were talking about so much when we did that draft live stream was, look, they got unlucky. Etienne and Najee Harris were taken before they could go and draft. They ended up taking Gregory Rousseau out of Miami. Again, he's been pretty good. But to me, it's always been, even going to last offseason, it's Devin Singletary and Zach Moss are unfortunately not running backs that are serviceable to give the ball to 30, 40 times a game.
Well, I don't think there are many running backs that can
Yeah,
do that.
well,
There's
if-
a select
No,
few.
it's Taylor. You got.
But think about it, if
Include
we're
running
thinking
and
about it,
20
receiving.
times a day.
Think about it.
you
If
probably-
they had
probably-
Najee Harris, he would be a running back you could give the ball to that many times.
Yes.
20,
Exactly.
25. I think that's what they kind of
Etienne
do
again,
really.
he got injured, but it's been their Achilles heel. The running game has been their Achilles heel.
Josh
That's why-
Allen's their best running back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And Josh Allen's not Lamar Jackson. We don't think of him as a running back.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also, is it really good to have a tall running back quarterback like Josh Allen who really
You don't
kind
want to
of-
risk him.
Yeah, you won't want him running the ball. They can go down low for him because he's a tall
guy.
quarterback. He's fast,
And he
but
takes a lot of
he's
risks too when he's running. He's not smart running the ball, so
And
that's why you
Daniel
need a running
Jones.
back.
And he's not as agile. I mean, no, he's obviously agile. He's fast, but like he's not gonna like Lamar Jackson like freaking juke someone out of their shoes and kind of
it's so
avoid hits
because
the same
the
way.
league originally league starting running the game. That's a bit. You ask any NFL veteran, you need to have a good run game. You need to have a good
Yeah.
run game. Then it's trying to all right. You need to have a good passing game.
Yeah.
That kind of seems to be dominating. But now it seems like it needs to be a balance.
I think it's kind of the running game has kind of almost made a comeback in the last
Exactly
years.
right.
I think when
the
new
term
rules-
franchise running back
Yeah.
is starting to come into the question.
I
I think,
think
if we could start to see
they gotta-
running backs trend up.
Exactly.
I mean, if I'm the
I think
Bills, Kenneth Walker,
Kenneth
give me that
Walker,
every single day.
Isaiah Spiller.
Isaiah Spiller, guys like that, like in the draft.
And
I'm not
I
sure
think
the Bills have a
The
first round
problem-
pick.
The thing is that they do have a first round pick, but I don't think they even need to use a first round pick on
Yeah,
that because I
on
think
Kenneth Walker,
even
exactly.
I think a good running back isn't very
And,
hard to find.
to be fair, the
They
O
don't
line
need
has
an
been
elite one, but
awful
they
for the
need-
Bills.
Yeah, I would rather draft the offensive line
Yeah,
if
I
I'm
would
in the
go
Bills
O-line
situation
first.
and the running
Sure,
back because you don't want to
definitely.
like the Giants. Like you don't want to draft a running back without a good offensive line because I don't really know what's going on with
I think
Saquon right now.
there's a lot of interior help that they need. I think there's a good thing though with the draft is I think there are options there. Like you've got Kenyon Green,
A ton of them.
Kennard,
Yeah, there's a lot.
Linderbaum.
Of options there. It
Linderbaum
seems
is
like
involved.
all of the there's a lot of depth, and I think what was not last year is there's a lot of depth in inside offensive linemen. Linderbaum's brother, who plays on Boston College, I know has been good. He's kind of a second, third round guy. There's a lot of depth in the interior of the offensive line. So again, being a good coach, like again for being the Bills and for all NFL teams, is picking and choosing what drafts and where you're going to target. This draft has a depth in this position, we're going to go for that.
Yeah.
Or this draft doesn't have depth, so we're going to go get this guy early. And I think obviously they got lucky, but imagine they had Najee Harris, this team would be so much different.
Najee Harris,
Etienne
Devontae
again,
Williams.
yeah, Javonte. Etienne again, assuming he didn't get that season-ending injury if he was with the Bills, but. Yeah, I mean it's and again franchise running back and then going to the Colts, using them as and the 49ers and the Patriots as and not only having that franchise guy. I think there's a difference. You can have a committee that's very like we saw from the Falcons when they made the Super Bowl with Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, now with the Colts, obviously Jonathan Taylor, we'll get into him earlier. I know we have a mailbag question about him, how good he's been and how he's been the best player on the Colts by 5,000 miles this year.
Well, Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson,
I
yeah,
guess.
obviously. But
Yeah.
I'm saying, just that the running game, it's a big difference. I think, trending towards a league where running backs are starting to become much more important because it's less pressure on your quarterback, and you're seeing a league obviously more younger guys start to come in. So having a running back who can kind of be behind them, I think is really important. And what we've talked about with rookie quarterbacks is have a good offensive line. I would say for a rookie quarterback, the second most important thing, have a good running back where you can just give the ball to. You can just give it.
Or at least a running back by
Exactly.
committee.
This is a perfect example. Zach Wilson doesn't have one. Michael Carter, we don't know.
Well, Michael Carter, he's been in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
But when, I think in the games that he's played well,
Yeah.
I think the Jets have really.
Trevor
had a lot
Lawrence
more
lost
success.
Etienne. James
Yeah.
Robinson, to be fair, obviously Meyer was not.
He hasn't been
giving
getting the ball.
James Robinson, so now that will probably change. Trey Lance, haven't seen him that much. Justin Fields, Montgomery's been in and out.
Yeah.
So I think again, there's always examples in the league.
But our main question for this segment was, can the Bills make a deep playoff run without that solid running game? And so my opinion, honestly, right now I don't know if they'll even make the playoffs. They're in a really tight
They are
race.
actually.
The Bills are right now sitting 7th in the conference, tied with the Ravens. So we have, of course, the Bengals, Colts, Chargers, Bills, and Ravens are all 8-6. The Steelers are just half a game back at 7-6-1. Raiders, Dolphins, Browns, and Broncos are all 7-7, just a game behind. Granted, the Bills only need a win against the Patriots to jump to the top spot in the division,
gonna happen.
and then they play the Falcons and Jets.
Yeah, that's my
So,
reason why I don't think
They're
they
close.
can.
I see the Bills going this season to end the season 2-1, which would put them at 10-7.
I agree.
Now the Ravens were just a game back, also tied with the Bengals, who are top of the division, so they can just jump to 4th place. Play the Bengals, Rams, and Steelers. That's 3 kind of tough games.
They're not.
I honestly right now see the Ravens going 1-2,
I've got 1 and 2
maybe
as well.
2-1 if they
I
beat
think-
the Bengals. Now the Bengals. Bengals have a tough schedule too. They have Ravens, Chiefs, and Browns. I could honestly see the Bengals going 0-3 to end the season. I think the
could.
Chiefs is a loss right now. The Chiefs are playing so well. The Ravens, you never know. The Browns, you never know. But I would put the Bengals at 2-1 or 1-2.
Unpredictable.
But it's close. Then we also have the Chargers at 8-6, who end the season with Texans, Broncos, Raiders. Should be easy. I see the Chargers going 3-0. So the
Yeah.
Chargers should have their playoff spot locked.
I mean, is the
Should they're right now? The
No.
Chargers
Is
are
the-
6th in the
is the-
AFC,
well-
and I see the Chargers going 3-0 to end the season.
Are the Broncos at home or away? Because I think
The
home game in
Broncos-
Denver and away game in Denver are 2 totally different teams.
The Broncos are home.
Broncos are home.
So the Chargers are home for the game.
Oh, the Chargers.
The Chargers are at home. The Broncos is a
Well,
home game.
Really, no
Sorry.
home game for the Chargers, but I still think that they should be able.
Well, yeah. Let's get back onto the Bills.
But the Bills, it's gonna be tough, and I don't see them getting a high seed in the AFC. I see the Bills because the Patriots have. I think the Patriots have top spot in the division.
Yep.
I'm putting the Patriots top spot, which means I think the highest that the Bills will go, they won't pass the Chargers, they won't pass both the Bengals and the Ravens. So the only team they could pass is the Colts. And the Colts have looked really good. Another team we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But the Colts have Cardinals, Raiders, Jaguars. The Cardinals are home for that game, but then they host the Raiders and are away at the Jaguars. I see the
least
Colts
2-1.
going 2-1.
We have the
Maybe
losers.
even 3-0. So they won't leapfrog the Colts because I think the Bills are 2-1, we said.
Yes.
So
2-1.
they won't pass the Colts. They won't pass the Chargers. They won't pass both the Bengals. They won't stay ahead of both the Bengals and the Ravens. So that leaves the Bills at the 7 seed, which means first round of the playoffs, they're playing the second best team in the AFC, which right now looks like the Patriots.
I'd say so. Yep.
That would be an amazing game, and that would mean right now my money's on New England. So I don't think the Bills will make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I think with Buffalo, I think they've got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, but I think the issue that's going to plague them is that they're not going to be able to run the ball. Like, they're not going to be able to run zone reads. They're not going to be able to run, like, those power runs that they really kind of need to at some point in the playoffs, especially when it's, like, a cold game, a really loud atmosphere. Like, you're probably going to get in New England if you do have to go on the road to play them. So I think Buffalo, they just don't have that run game. Again, Singletary, Moss, Breida, none of them have been the guy. And I think it's okay to have a running back by committee, but Buffalo just flat out haven't been able to run the ball. And I think while these running backs aren't great, I think it isn't really an indictment on them. I think, again, it's an indictment on really the poor interior offensive line that the Buffalo Bills have had. And I think when you're going in the playoffs, you just can't have an offensive line that's just, I feel like, below average, especially at kind of just power running the football when you're going against teams that are, again, can take away the run, can force you to be one-dimensional. And in the playoffs, you just, unless you're like, maybe the Chiefs, a prime Chiefs, you can't really be a one-dimensional offense in the playoffs. And I think Buffalo, they've got a lot of talent. They can, I think I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they could pull off a full upset, a few upsets. But I think right now with the position they're in, I feel like it's kind of hard for me to imagine them having a deep playoff run.
Yeah. It's I think it's very funny because you could oppose this and be like, well, the Chiefs when they won the Super Bowl didn't have a good run game, and I think that's a very valid point. And I think the Chiefs were kind of in that weird situation where the running backs they did have kind of were played fantastic in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, I don't like using the word luck. There was some luck on their side for that game.
Which game?
Against 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
And then
I'd
we
say so.
saw against the Bucks, who have a really, really good pass defense. All right, maybe we do need a run game. They go out get Clyde Edwards, or they had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me, but he wasn't obviously playing that well. So I think there you can look at it both ways because you can look at it. All right, well the Chiefs didn't have a good run game. They won the Super Bowl, but I think again, like we were talking about, it's starting to trend where you need a balance. And the Bills to me, exactly like you said, you need someone to give the ball to. But I could tackle Devin Singletary. If you give me 10 tries, I bet you I could tackle Devin Singletary.
I'd
no,
put a
not gonna-
lot of money that you couldn't.
I think
that's a bit.
That was a
out
very
there.
big stretch.
I
I don't
think
think there's
Dylan
a
said that
single
before.
football player in the league I could tackle.
he's 5'7".
He's still,
Yeah, he's
still
still
like a truck.
Still probably built. I think that's a.
That's a
I-
very
that's
big reach.
That's an optimistic one.
Because he's also been trained, and you have not. You don't play the sport.
I don't know. I would give myself 50-50 chance, but never mind.
I would put $1 million that you couldn't.
Ooh.
I'd put that much money. Nothing against you, but any NFL player at that level is.
Just. They're
I
there
think I
for-
can. I'm getting
They're
more
a
and more
different beast.
confident. I have a chip on my shoulder.
All right, let's call him up. Let's.
All right. The end.
Let's see
Devin,
it.
if you're
Devin,
watching,
if you're
this.
watching.
If you're watching, seriously, that's a
Yeah.
bold statement.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I mean, again, talking about running backs, I think a very important thing and a trend that will go on is you need a good running back. Unless you're the
Or at
Giants and
least good running
Saquon doesn't
back.
play that
So
well,
you can
or good
have-
running backs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need one or the other. You need a good running game.
yeah, exactly.
I think.
That's it. Yeah.
Very
I
well
think
said.
So-
especially-
I like to give a straightforward, a quick answer, just so you know, because sometimes the things we say are confusing and contradict our own selves. So, Serge, how far do you see the Bills going this year in the playoffs? Give me a
Well-
round. Where are they getting eliminated?
I think first round because I think what I had last in terms of my predictions, I had them playing New England again. Going away New England, you don't have and you can't win in the trenches against them, especially with that secondary. You're not gonna be able to get the ball out in like under 2 seconds against J.C. Jackson,
Yeah.
Devin McCourty.
It'll be
Jalen
hard.
Mills been good. I think
Yeah.
it's just gonna be too hard, and if they can't really win in the trenches like other teams like the Chiefs or the Colts can, then I think Buffalo are just primed for a first round exit, especially when they're playing away from home.
Kian, what about you?
I would like to say second round, but I think the team that they will most likely play in the first round. Again, I don't see them beating the Patriots. They lost to them at home. I don't think they will go to. Again, it's the divisional games to me. I've always said are very tough to predict.
Yeah,
I don't
they-
see
Especially when you
divisional-
get playoff time,
Yeah,
like
I don't see them.
I mean, Bucks
again,
Saints
Josh Allen.
crushed them twice.
I actually
in
when I
playoffs.
think about it. I actually think the Bills maybe to me would be more of a favorite to win that Patriots game. It's neck. Is this? It's not this
it's
week.
close.
Is it this week?
This week.
This
Yeah.
week, that's a divisional.
It's big.
And New England wins the division if they win that game.
You know
So,
what?
huge
I actually
game.
wasn't on a weekly prediction. I think the Bills will win.
So you think the Bills will take this week, which would push the Bills. That would actually put the Bills probably 3-0 to end the season.
Yeah.
So you think the Bills will lock up a number 2 seed, assuming that the Titans don't go 3-0.
which I think is a fair assumption.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
assuming the Titans don't go 3-0, the Bengals don't go 3-0, the Colts don't go 3-0, and the Chargers don't go 3-0.
Yeah. So they probably won't lock up too. I would say they'll.
Because those are all teams that they're behind, except for maybe the Bengals. I don't know if they're ahead of the Bengals or not, because the Bengals have top spot in the division.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's possible. But
you think so that means that they would take
the
on
Patriots
most
game is gonna be
likely.
I think if they lose to the Patriots,
That means they would take on most likely Ravens or Bengals in the first round. Do you think they can win that game?
I think they
I'd
can
say
beat
Colts, they
Bengals.
probably
that
take on-
means second. No, if they're number 2 seed, they'll
Yeah, I'm gonna-
they'll
They're the
take
2
on.
seed because I
if they're the
think
2
because I
seed,
think the
they'll take
Bengals are
on-
going to win their division, but I don't think there'll be another AFC North team in the wild card. I think it'll be Chargers should be a wild card. The either Patriots or Bills. I think it'll be Bills, but I think Bills would be a wild card or Patriots.
and then either Ravens or Bengals
Colts.
or Colts,
Colts.
or
I think
Titans.
Colts have got to be because I think
Colts could win the division.
Colts could win the division.
I think the Colts will win the division.
I think they have to go.
I haven't seen the
think they
Titans
have to
schedule,
win. I
Let me
think
have a
they.
look.
Let me see. What's their
Colts have
record?
Cardinals, Raiders, Jaguars, and Titans
Yeah,
have
in the final 3 games, they'd have to. go
Niners,
2 games
Dolphins,
ahead.
Texans.
So, I would have to say
Niners and Dolphins could be tough for this Titans team. Texans should be a pretty easy win. So I think you're right. Titans will probably win this division.
Yeah, I would say.
So I have the Titans going 2-1, which would probably push the Bills to the 3, making them play the Chargers or Colts, which I could see an exit right there.
Yeah.
But if not, then they take on
I think the Chargers and
whoever
Colts-
wins. So you think at that pace, if the Bills take the top of this division, I could see the Bills going to the championship game. However, if everything pans out the way I think it will, now obviously that's the way I think it will, that's all these teams' records, I think the Bills will take the number 7 seed, meaning that they have to play the Patriots, which I think they will lose, and even if they win, the number 7 seed advancing to the next round is a guaranteed play against the number 1 seed, which will be the Chiefs, and that will be a definite exit unless something drastically changes until then. So I don't see them going further than the second round. I just don't. It's
yeah,
not
I don't see
something that
them going further than the second round. I'll agree with that.
But I think a first round exit.
But that was a very, very long way to talk about the run game.